This was a trip to Lassen Volcanic National Park. It's a lesser known national park in Northern California. I had never heard of it before, and we saw it in a road trip guide book and thought we'd go check it out. And so this is what we saw at Lassen Volcanic National Park. The first thing we did is we downloaded an audio tour onto our phone and Bluetoothed it into our car. So as we drove along, it would give us information about the park. I've been doing these for years. This is the one we used on this trip, and it worked out great. There was a lot of information. The map on the right shows some of the stops. There were a lot more than this. It's just a diagram from their website. I'm not affiliated with them, and so if you use them, I get no kickbacks or anything, but this is the one that we used for this trip, and I really enjoy doing these audio tours because we don't do as much hiking anymore because we're getting up there in age and we don't want to risk falling, and so we don't do a lot of the hikes, but we just kind of drive through and see the scenery. And these give you a lot of information about the park. They tell you stories. They tell you about the history, the geology. If you haven't done these audio tours, it's something I recommend you give it a shot and see if you enjoy them. There are several different audio tour companies. This is just the one that we used on this trip. This stop was a Sulphur Springs stop. It had some hot pots and things that were bubbling away from the volcanic activity, and you can see the rivers running down the canyon. This one is showing the trees. There was a fire that went through several years ago, and the fire damage is still visible. There was a lot of nature scenes, but these pine cones, there were huge pine cones, probably the size of a softball, maybe even a little bit bigger than a softball, but they were huge. This is a picture of Mount Lassen. This is the volcano that erupted. There are several volcanoes in the park, 4 of them, I believe they said, all different kind, 4 different kinds of volcanoes, but it was a beautiful park. There was still snow on the roads. There were streams running down through that was carving out the snow. It was pretty. This was one of the lakes that is up at the top. There were people walking around it. The water was tepid. It was cool, but not hot. You could walk down to it, but I don't know that I'd want to swim in it. It was kind of murky. This is another picture of that lake. There were a couple of them up near the top of the loop. This is out looking out over the valley. There was a lot of logging going on, probably due to the fire. There was a lot of fire damage. Lots of streams and water running down from the mountains, full raging rivers. It was a beautiful trip. It probably took us, I would guess we spent about 3 hours in the park just driving around, stopping at the stops. This is an old seismic station that's no longer in use. This is the visitor center. Tons of wildflowers were around in the area. Some of the trees, you can see some of the fire damage. We stayed at the homestead, which is only about 15 minutes outside the park. There wasn't any cell service there. We didn't have internet, no AC, but it really was a nice place. And these were just little gophers or playing in the grass and eating the grass in the morning. It was really a nice place to stay. The cabins were clean and there just wasn't AC. So we got there in the afternoon. It was a little warm, but as soon as the sun went down, it got cool. So it was really nice. No cell service or internet. But it was a nice place to go. Lots of flowers all over the place. These daisies, I don't know that they were wild, but these were some of the wild flowers that we saw. There was a moon up in the sky in the morning, and this was at the homestead where we saw all those prairie dogs. Pretty windmill there. Some more wildflowers. It was hard to zoom in on those. They were tiny, tiny. A little bit more of the damage from the fires. More wildflowers. It was a beautiful park. It was smaller than a lot of the other national parks, but the road was nice. Sometimes you were kind of on a ledge of, so if you're afraid of heights driving there, it wouldn't be horrible. And there was only a few places where it was sketchy that you felt like you were on the edge, but it was a day trip. If you're going to do the hikes or something, you'd probably want to spend longer. A lot of water, a lot of wildflowers. This one had a cute little white butterfly on it. I'll try and zoom in here so you can see it. We didn't see a whole lot of wildlife. I know it's there. We saw signs of it, but we just didn't see a lot. A lot of things were getting ready to bloom. These were pretty. Lots of varieties of wildflowers that were just beautiful. That again is Mount Lassen, what the park is named after. There were hot pots that you could walk down to. The walk down to here was maybe a 1/10 of a mile up the road. It was paved. It smelled like sulfur. We thought they were Indian paintbrush, but something in the audio tour described what these flowers were, and they're part of the Indian paintbrush family, but there's something different. A lot of different greenery, things blooming. And the trees, there were a lot of them that had that L shape on them. Not exactly sure why that happened. But that was Lassen National Park. It was a great trip. I encourage you to go. Thanks for watching.